And we're going to dive into each one of Leslie's deals, but just to kind of give you a quick overview, on her first deal, she made about $7,000. And on her second deal, she made about $40,000 net profit. We'll dive into what those deals
Right.
look like here. So let's talk about your first deal then. What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today, I've got something special for you. I'm sitting down with one of our members inside of the Mobile Home Success Academy who's already flipped 2 mobile homes and is working on her third one right now. She's out here getting real results. I wanted to bring her on to share her story, how she got started, what those deals look like, and what she's learned along the way. So if you've been watching these videos thinking, could I actually do this too? This one's for you. All right, so let's get into it. So Leslie, welcome to the channel. Welcome. Tell
Awesome. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. Tell everyone a little bit about yourself and where you're from and like what you were doing before flipping mobile homes.
Sure. Okay. Hey everybody. Thanks for having me here. Appreciate the opportunity to share. And truly, I'm not trying to downplay myself, but if I can do this, I feel like anybody can do it.
Same
So
here.
I've been right. Okay. But anyway, it's if you can sell something on Marketplace or Etsy or anything like that, it's basically the same thing. Not to simplify it, but it really is not as hard as you might make it out to be. But a little bit about me: I live in Jacksonville, Florida, Northeast Florida, and I've been in the financial service industry for a while, and that just requires an awful lot of networking and a lot of time and the uncertainty of pay since it's a 1099, 100% commission based. So I was looking for something that could supplement my pay because I believe in what I do and I enjoy helping people with all of that. But I would like something with a little more predictability of income and more financial freedom that brings. So I stumbled across George and his mobile home Success Academy, and I thought, mobile homes, well, who would ever think of that with mobile homes? And in Florida, there's just mobile homes everywhere. And my grandmother used to live in St. Pete, and we'd go visit her, and they're just really everywhere down there. So I just thought, well, I'll give it a shot. And it's kind of not real common. People kind of forget about them. So I checked out George and I followed him for a little while and we met and I just kind of clicked with him. I was looking at some other groups. They were all female, different groups, nationwide. And I thought, oh, well, they're interesting and intriguing. But something about George, I just kind of felt like I could really relate to him. And you either click with somebody or you don't. So that worked out great with that. And I think we spoke in December and I think I signed up in February, something
Yeah.
along those lines.
Were you
And
looking
then
at
my
real estate prior to? Like you're looking at other forms of real estate, right? You attempted other forms
I
of
was
real estate.
looking, oh yes, I was looking at other forms of real estate investing and I had joined a wholesaling group and really that didn't really groove with me very much because first of all, it was kind of post-COVID and houses were just flying. People were not even looking at them. People were FaceTiming them, buying them without even seeing the home. So to try to lowball somebody in a wholesaling situation, it was not a great market for that. And I didn't really feel comfortable saying I was a cash buyer and I was going to sell their home, whatever. That didn't really sit well with me. So I kind of had I don't want to say ethical issue with it, but it just didn't sit right with me. So then I said, well, let me try to find something easier, just something that made more sense to me. And I like the affordability factor of keeping homes affordable and that kind of thing. And then in the interim, my husband and I got into tiny homes. So they're really quite similar. They're kind of classified as an RV. So we have a tiny home business in the Smoky Mountains. So that kind of helped us relate. And they've got the lot rent in these communities as well for tiny home community. So it all kind of just made sense, made a lot more sense to me that way.
All right, so it all came full circle and all came together. And yeah,
Hmm.
like when you're working on single family homes, like you're competing with everyone. Not as many people are
Yeah.
looking at the mobile home market, but you're competing with the realtors, the wholesalers, the end buyers, like everyone's there that you're competing with. So it's tough. It's tough if you're wholesaling, it's like tough to get those good deals, especially when the market's hot.
Right.
All
Right.
right.
And
So
in Florida, the market was super hot. So
yeah, yeah, no, 100%. So when you joined the academy, did you feel like you were ready or were you like, what did I just sign up for?
well, I tend to be, I don't want to say a little bit of a risk taker, but seeking the non-traditional. I'll just say, even with my occupation, it's kind of like the non-traditional. Not too many people want to do it. I signed up. After we spoke on the phone and through Zoom, I just felt really good about who you are and thought that you were very authentic. Right, what you see is what you get. I felt really good about it. I was kind of nervous and excited, thinking, "Oh, I got to pay this off," But I kind of feel like what you put into yourself, if you apply it, you get it back. So I really kind of saw it as more an investment in myself and my future, where a lot of people are not willing to do that.
100%. And we're going to dive into each one of Leslie's deals, but just to kind of give you a quick overview, on her first deal, she made about $7,000. And on her second deal, she made about $40,000 net profit. We'll dive into what those deals
Right.
look like here. So let's talk about your first deal then. Like, how did you find it and what stood out to you about it?
Okay. With your training, it said to call and drive by local mobile home parks and how to find them. So you Google mobile home parks near me. And we live kind of in the rural area of West St. Augustine. And surprisingly, there was a mobile home park in the middle of these cornfields, not far from us.
Okay.
And I drove by it, and the guy had, and it was some of it was paved roads and some of it was dirt roads with potholes and all of that. And I was like, wow, this is kind of rough out here. And but there was a for sale by owner sign, and it had a number on it. It happened to be the owner of the park's mobile home. So he's trying to get where the homes are more tenant owned, and he owned maybe 5 or 6 of them. And so I called him, and it turned out the guy lives in China. So I was calling him at like 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and it was like 2 a.m. But apparently he's up, doing business and stuff. So that was interesting. And he wanted $10,000 for the home. I didn't think it warranted that. I offered him 4,900, 4,950 is what I got. And honestly, I had about $6,000 to play with. So I physically didn't have $10,000. Yeah. So I'm like, well, if it's gonna work, it's gonna work. So he accepted the 4,950.
So
I
wait,
wanted to have a
what did
little
he
bit.
want? He wanted 10,000, you said?
He wanted 10,000 for the home.
Look at
I
that
think it was
right
a
there. She got
2009.
50% plus discount on that deal. 49.50 you got it for, okay.
And I simply just didn't have the cash. I mean, to be quite honest, for that. And he had to ask the bank because I guess the banks were leaning on these homes as collateral for something. He has a loan on the property. So they agreed to that. So he would have gone lower if the bank would have allowed him to. But
Okay.
so that worked out good. We got in there, and the home wasn't terrible, but whoever did the work, like the cabinets were on crooked when you go to open the doors, like you had to open them kind of pulling up, not just pulling out.
Okay.
So once we got in there, we got a little concerned about, the integrity of the work and how rough the area was. And then we found out the toilets were not flushing, and there were like huge gaping holes out in the yard where the
At this
septics
point, you're
were.
like, all right, I paid 49.50. I got $6,000 in total here that I can work with $1,200. Okay.
Right. And if you put one piece of toilet paper too much in there, it was not good. And when you flush the toilet, it just made these god awful sounds. So then we started thinking, holy cow, what did we get ourselves into? And then one house fell apart next door to us and had to be removed. And I'm thinking, oh my gosh, I wasn't even telling anybody I was doing this because they already think I'm a little out there for all the crazy things I do. And we were like, we just need to get our money back. Like it needed so much work that to make it right in our eyes, but we have to keep in mind that's maybe not the right perspective, right? Just make it livable and nice, and it's better than an RV, and there's nothing wrong with living in an RV, by the way. But my husband came to the rescue. He redid the deck. It was rotten, like gaping holes in it. So he rebuilt the deck and helped me paint the shutters. We did some stuff like that together, and we just said, let's just get our money back.
Mhm.
And he got up on the roof and it was blowing off stuff. And I was trying to get the tree taken down because the hurricanes are in there. And I'm like, if somebody's in there and that tree falls on them, I'd feel terrible. However, that did not work out. The guy
Cost
refused
for
to
that.
have. Yeah. I mean, that was the only so much you could do. So we had the 4,950 and then $1,300 a lot rent for 2 months. And then I put it on Marketplace, just minimal repairs because it was beyond us what to do with that. I think I put it initially for $19,000, and then we saw what was going on there with the septic, and then they had the septic out of the ground, and like it was going to be fixed, and we weren't sure, and like it was a little bit unnerving for us, and so I ended up dropping the price I sold it for 14,250.
Okay. 14,250.
So
So
I had
all in for what were you all in for?
maybe 7,000. I mean, I don't have the exact numbers in front of me, but it was maybe seven. I ended up netting like 7,000 off of it.
Perfect. Oh, and look at that. With the $6,000 budget to work with, obviously you had a little more that you ended up spending, an extra $1,000.
Yeah.
But boom, made it $7,000. And how long did that deal take?
2 weeks.
2 weeks. $7,000 in 2 weeks on the first deal. And it was scary to do, right? You're like, oh my God,
It was super scary.
what are we doing?
Yeah.
Same thing with me on
I
my
was
first.
losing sleep, and my husband was like, "What have you done? You got us into this situation, and I'm never doing this again." Then we got the money back. He's like, "Well, how do we get another one?"
Yeah.
I'm like,
I got it back in 2 weeks. How do we get another one of those? So what did that feel
I'm feeling bipolar here, but okay.
So when you got that first check, when you guys got that first check, so you were excited, you're like, all right, let's do another one?
Yeah, yeah. What's interesting is I've been making my phone calls like you recommended. I had a little spreadsheet of the parks nearby me, which ones I coded them red, people that were interested or, asked me not to call back kind of a thing. And meanwhile, the group I had signed up with before for single family homes, their premise is direct to agent. right? So you call agents asking if they have these, anything out there. So one of the agents that I had spoke to before, she and I kind of kept up. And I said, I think I found my sweet spot with mobile homes. This is where I'm going to focus on. So she called me out of the blue and says, I've got a manufactured home in a community. I can't sell it because it's, on leased land and it's a manufactured home. And she says, with our compliance stuff, I don't worry about giving me any money from it. Just take it and help them out. So I said, okay. So that's how that one came about, was from my efforts from before. So nothing is wasted. At first I thought all this money I'm putting into all this stuff is kind of crazy town. But it actually came around. So
Plant those seeds. Yep.
yeah. So then the son, I met with the son and the mom who lived in the community. Beautiful manufactured home, 55 and over community near St. Augustine, kind of more of a resort place where they ride around their little golf carts and have activities. I mean, it's just a really pretty
very
place.
nice park. Completely different
Yep.
ball than the first community that you were in.
Right. Oh, yeah. Yep. And so they wanted help initially just selling it. So I thought, well, I haven't really just like sold manufactured homes, but they didn't want the mom to have to tour the home and show the home when she was not feeling well. So I said, okay, how about we do this and maybe just pay me like $5,000 for helping you out, when we sell it. So as time went on, it was priced high, but that's what they wanted to start it off. It wasn't selling. And then I said, well, we need to lower the price. So we lowered the price, and then the mom's health tanked. So she was, a patient at Mayo with a chronic health issue, and then it tanked. And the guy says, would you just take it off our hands? And he said, just give me a number. And I was like, oh, I just don't feel good about this. And so he gave me a number. And I said, okay, well, we can come up to, I think it was 80,000. It was listed for 150 initially, 150 and some change.
And then why didn't you feel good about it? Like, why did you say, I don't feel good about this?
Well, I was going to say 50,000, but I just kind of didn't really feel like I was taking advantage of a poor health situation. So then he says, well, how about 80,000? First he said 60,000. He goes, what about 60,000? I said, okay, fine. That's great. To go from 150 on the market, 100 and 130, and then to 60. I said, okay, fine. And it's a beautiful neighborhood. And by then I'd been in and out of the home and with the family and knew the mom pretty well and all of that. And I said, okay, well, I'll do it for 60. Well, when it came down to the signing the contract and making a deal, he came up to 80,000. So we had the 60,000 in cash to give him. And I just said, well, you know what? I'm going to have to give you the other 20 when we sell it.
So he went up in price. That's not good. So it's interesting, right? Because and there's two ways to look at it. Like, I know that initial thought is like, I don't want to take advantage of them, but you're not taking advantage of them. They're in need to sell it and they want to get it off their hands. So you're helping them, right? You're doing them justice of helping them. And if you said $50,000, he was open to 60, you probably would have got it for $50,000 and you would have purchased for that, saved yourself $30,000. Now, obviously you had a different thought process going into it when you were doing that, which is totally cool, but just be aware, like, you're helping these people. And that's the bottom line. They need to get it off their hands. They don't want to pay lot rent. They want to sell the mobile home. So you paying them $50,000 for it, they're happy that you do that. So he went up to 80 and you accepted that $80,000 that he went up to?
Accepted the 80, because I felt bad. I felt bad for the mom.
Okay.
With her health obviously declining and a very chronic, not a great outlook for her. And so I said, okay, we'll do the 80 but we'll just have to pay the 20 at the end. So as time went on, because the lot rent is pretty high there, it was $1,300 a month. So we were paying that every month. And he said something, he came back and said, if you can just give me $7,000, just keep the rest.
Okay. So 67 in total. That would have been.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we actually ended up buying it. Let's see. I think it was 50. We had 58 into it.
Okay.
Initially we gave him 58 and then another 7. So what is that? 65.
65.
Ended up getting it for 65.
So perfect. So you end up, and just to let everyone know, if you're in the academy, if Leslie let me know that he went up $20,000, I would have said absolutely not. You're buying it for 60. You're not going up an additional 20. But she didn't let me know. But totally cool. So you got it for 65. So you end up not going up to 80 anyway.
Right.
Okay.
Right. And I realize I'm a softie in situations, so I realize that, and that's something I have to work.
You have to use your partner, and so it's not you, and you don't feel like, oh my God, I'm doing something bad. Like my partner said the most.
You're right. You're right. Absolutely. Absolutely. So in the end, we ended up getting for 65, and I had it since June. So we had June, July, August, and September. We had 4 months of it was $1,100 a month, and then in September it went up to 1,300.
Yeah, it's a hefty lot rent, but it's a very nice
It's a
community.
hefty lot rent. I had a lot of activity, inquiries and stuff like that. But once they heard the lot rent, they were like, "Oh, no, thanks." So it's a lifestyle kind of a thing. And the home was beautiful. It did not need any work. We just had to maintain it and keep the windows clean. It was on a lake. It was beautiful. 2,000 square foot, triple wide.
Oh,
I mean, it
triple.
was beautiful.
Okay.
Triple wide. Yeah.
Okay.
And
No work was needed.
we no work was needed. We just had to do the driveway. They had painted the driveway like a ugly pink, and it was
Okay.
chipping. So we painted it as close to concrete as we could, so it looked more like concrete. So just minor stuff, keeping the yard nice and all of that. But in the interim, I met a lot of the neighbors, and that was kind of fun. And it was just a beautiful place. So in September, I got an inquiry from a couple that wanted the home, but they were waiting for the money to come through from some inheritance, and they were told it was going to be any day now. So they said, "Can we cover the lot rent to hold the house if we give you some money and cover the lot rent?" And I
Perfect.
said, "Absolutely, right? How perfect is that?" And so I said, "The only exception would be if I were to get a cash offer, I would pay you back the money you put down, but the lot rent will be, not reimbursed." So they were okay with that. I did not get a cash offer for 119,000 is what I ended up selling it for. I did not get a cash offer. And so they got their money, I want to say in December. So they paid September through December. And in that interim, we developed a really great relationship. And they didn't have the money before Christmas. And I knew where she was living. It was a decent home, but just in a nice area in Jacksonville, but just kind of had a heavy spirit in it. I don't know if that makes sense to people. So I had to meet her at her home to sign the paperwork, and it just kind of was very dark and just had a very sad feeling in it. So I thought, gosh, it would not be good to be there for Christmas. And so she asked, "Can we start moving stuff over?" And I said, "Sure," because by then I knew her for a few months. And my husband was like, "What are you doing? They're putting stuff in the house, so we don't have the money yet." I said, "They're good people. We don't need to worry about it." And I decorated the house for Christmas with little lights outside, and I didn't want it to make it look like a sad existence. And so I
Decorating
said,
mobile home.
"Yeah, for Christmas, yeah."
Look at Leslie over here, decorating houses, paying more for deals, letting people move in.
I'm a little crazy. I get it. I know it. And so they asked if they could move in, and well, I said, "We've known each other for a while, and knew their situation. I think it would be okay." So I got a lot of pushback, from my husband. He wasn't real happy with me about that, but I had a feeling it was going to work out okay, and it did. So right after Christmas, they got their money, and everything was settled up, and they were all happy. So everything worked out great. So ended up selling it for 119,250, and they put down 7,000 before. And another lady insisted I take her money. She wanted me to hold the house for her for $5,000. I said, "I can't do that." And she was just like after me to take her money, which is kind of odd. But so I finally said, "Okay, fine." So then I paid her back her $5,000. And actually, I don't know if you remember, but you were my private money person for that
Yeah, we landed
$7,000.
on it.
So,
Yeah. And this is something that we do with our members. We'll lend on deals. If the deals make sense and we know that the person on the other end, like Leslie, went through the academy, understands the deal, understands the process, we're more than happy to lend on these deals. And it just helps with that.
so yeah, it was something urgent, so it worked out great. So we paid you back, of course, and the rate for that. So it ended up still netting with all of that, I still netted I want to say it was like 41,000.
41,000. Beautiful. And there's the difference, right? Your first deal was $4,000 you purchased it for roughly, and your second deal you
Yeah.
purchased it for $65,000.
Yeah.
Have to know your market. Because if Leslie bought
Yeah.
a $65,000 mobile home in the park where she bought the home for 4,000, she would have made nothing. It would have been in
No,
the gutter, like
right.
completely
Right.
out. So you really have
Yep.
to understand your market, know your market, and know that yes, you can spend more money on these deals. You can buy a deal for $50,000.
Right.
You can buy a deal for $65,000 as long as you can sell it for a higher price point. What made you decide to sell that one for 119,000 versus I know they originally had it on the market for $150,000. What made you come to the $119,000 mark?
I just wanted to have it sold, after paying the lot rent and having, seen every September the lot rent goes up. I just thought it had to be competitively priced. That was my rock bottom because I think at a certain point it alarms people if it's too low.
Yeah.
So I think that was a threshold of like no lower. A comparable house on the cul-de-sac was being sold for 130. So I think it could have sold for 125, maybe 130. But I think the 119 coupled with the higher lot rent I think that helps sell it.
Okay. Perfect. Perfect. So did you have any moments where you're like, I don't know if this is going to work?
Pretty regularly. I mean, honestly, I was losing sleep over it, thinking if I had to pay another 1,300, or if what if this couple disappears, and you think of, well, what if something happens to them? What if they break up? You have all these kind of thoughts going through. Like if it were not to work out, then I'm on the hook for $1,300 a month, and the repair, and the you have the power bill, and is over there trimming the bushes, and you have to keep it exceptionally nice looking. So yeah, it was pretty unnerving, to be honest, but I kind of thought it was just part of it.
Yeah, 100%. And it is. And it's just shifting your mindset. We'll get into any mindset shifts that you've had. But a couple important things that Leslie did is she collected a down payment, a non-refundable deposit from them. So now there's a higher
Hmm.
level of commitment. They were paying the lot rent, which was awesome. It really helped with that.
Yep. Yep.
What else did you do? There's something else that came to mind. But just really setting it up. So, and allowing her continuously showing the house. That's one thing that we tell everyone.
Right.
Like, just because someone even put down a down payment or deposit doesn't mean they're necessarily going to follow through. So keep showing that mobile home, keep letting it be shown. And she was
Right.
very transparent and clear with them. If a cash buyer comes in while you guys are still waiting, I'm going to sell it. I'll give you back your deposit, but I'm
Yeah.
going to sell this home.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
doing that is important because it eases your mind as well. Like, okay, I have people still seeing it. I have other people that are interested. I have people that are interested.
Right.
Versus it's like, it's all relying on this family. And people can get lazy sometimes. Like investors ourselves can get lazy and be like, I'm just going to show it to this one family and not answer anyone else. But that's not going to serve you good because sometimes the buyer may fall through. It's happened. It's happened to us plenty of times.
Yeah, and I did have one lady come through, and she really wanted it, but it was not going to be a good fit for the neighborhood, if you know what I mean. Like she would not be a good that I can do this and actually make some money is good. It's huge. It's all the difference in the world because I felt like with the other program, it just was not panning out, so to speak. It was just the timing of the market, and I don't think that's my personality to call people and say, "Hey, your house is 300. I'll give you 100 for it." I just don't like that.
Yeah, 100%.
And there's a personality for all of that, and people that can do that and do well with it. So for me, just to have validation that I could do it and that it wasn't as complicated as some of the traditional real estate, not having to go through title, not having to you go through the attorneys and have all these other people involved and people trying to undercut you and all that. I just it's worked out better for me this
Perfect.
way.
Perfect.
Hmm.
Okay. So what's helped you most inside of the academy? Like we have Zoom calls, Discord, the course, the templates. Like, is there anything that really stands out within the academy? Is it overall? Like what's helped you the most?
Honestly, with you being how you are with people, being so responsive and being available, has been really a deal breaker. It's made things so much easier when if I was uneasy about something, I just put it in the Discord, and then the community too is very helpful. Like if you want them to review your deal or this or that, that's great. And then you have those Tuesday night lives when you ask questions about, if you have a question about the contract process or what do I do next, you can have an immediate answer on Tuesday nights.
100%. And this is what we tell everyone. We're here to support you every step of the way. So like once you join us, your results become our results. We're here to help you grow and get those results that you're after. No questions go unanswered. And we say to ask every question that you have. So I'm glad that you're really using that resource and asking your questions in there.
Yeah.
After you did your first deal, did you think that your second deal, you're going to net $40,000 in that deal? Like where's your head at after that first one and then getting into that second one?
After the first one, I thought, well, if I could do that, every other month, that would be great. Like if I made $7,000 on my first one, wouldn't it be nice to make 20,000? Then I see all your stuff where you're making 40 and 80,000 a pop. So I'm like, well, how do I get into those spaces? So it just kind of creates a little bit of intrigue and optimism, being able to think, well, if I did it that, I can do that again, but maybe times 2 or 3 or 4, make it a bigger one. But I think it's good to start with the small purchases just to kind of feel it out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
With that community that you did that second deal in, are you still building relationships with people in there? Do you still have feelers out for that community?
Oh, with the second one, there was a lady down the street that wanted to sell. I'm not terribly crazy about going back into that community because of the it would have to, we were just talking about this. If we got a steal of a deal, like a $50,000 one, we probably would, but the admin on the group, one of the deals before the one that took it, they took so long to get the approved, and I think it was part of their strategy that the lady walked away.
Oh, interesting.
So the admin was kind of an obstacle. It was one of those big, huge national corporations, and they didn't really like for sale by owner people in there. They have an approved or preferred mobile home dealer person in there. And I don't know if I would go back in there, to be honest, after that.
Yeah. And you just have to really be on top of them and ask them questions. Like I always in the beginning, now we have someone on our team that does it, but follow up with the management. If it's taking a while for someone to get approved, ask what the delay is so they know you're on top of it. Because sometimes they can just put
Right.
it off. But if you're on top of it and you're like, hey, when are they going to get approved by? Then you circle back on that date. If they say 3 days from now, okay, 3 days from now, you're calling. Why haven't they been approved? Where are we at with this process? Obviously, not doing it in an argumentative standpoint, but building the
Sure.
relationship with them and then asking them these clear questions. I
Right.
made $40,000 on that deal, so I definitely want to turn down that by any means. Work out to
Right.
see deals and
Right.
put your feelers
That's
out.
true. That could be, yeah. And the lot rent is just so high. But apparently it's more of a trend. You know, there's
Yeah.
another one, another community with new homes um, towards Palatka that's $1,200 a month. So, I mean, it's not, sadly, it's not
People are
uncommon.
willing to pay it. Yeah, people are willing to pay
Yeah.
that,
Yeah.
especially for those nicer communities. So I would definitely put
Yes.
your feelers out in those communities. And like you said, that other home that was in there, I don't know if it's still for sale, but see what you can get it for. See the lowest fair price that they'll take so
Yeah.
you can potentially get that deal and make another nice profit on that.
Yeah. Yeah. The lady that put the $5,000 on it, she really wants to be in that neighborhood. So if I could get another one, I think it could be good for her.
Great to her,
Um,
yeah. And then just
mhm.
quick flip and make it
Yeah.
a nice 40,000,
Yep.
50,000, whatever profit that looks like on that deal.
Yeah. Yep. So that's a possibility still. Yeah.
Yeah, so keep those feelers out. And I know you are. I know you're continuously going to parks, you're continuously putting those feelers out, continuously making those connections, and that's what's really important in this business is you're just making these connections, building these relationships so you can continue to get these good deals brought your way.
Mm-hmm.
So last couple of questions for someone that's watching who's thinking about jumping into mobile homes but still kind of doubting it, what would you say to them?
I would encourage them to just try it. You know, there's no harm done. And look how much money people pay for other things that really don't pan out. And the great thing with the mobile homes and with your business and your academy, I know there's lots of them out there, but what I appreciate about you is that you're still flipping homes. You know, like you're not just all about the academy and all about the training, that you're still doing the flipping, which to me says a lot.
Yeah, still on the
Right.
field, still doing the do.
Yeah. Yeah. And so I think that speaks volumes because I think at a certain point, a lot of people just get to where all they're doing is the trainings and the school type part of it. And you lose touch with what people are going through,
Yes.
even if you don't do as many. You know, maybe I don't mean I can't speak for the volume, but I just know that you still apparently still do them or, you know, posting your
We're
wins.
11 plus deals every couple of months, so we got a lot going on.
See? So yeah, I like that. I like that and appreciate what you have to offer with all of that. So
Yes, awesome. And what's your plan from here? I know you're working on your third deal. It would have took a lot of time if we dove into that one too. But what's your plan from here? Are you trying to go full time with this? Keep stacking these deals? Like, where's your head at? Your thought process?
okay, so I know I don't have a huge amount of experience, but I have enough to kind of feel like I can do this. And honestly, I want to be a part owner of a mobile home park.
Perfect. Awesome. And that's that next
I'm
stage.
hoping we can. I'm hoping we can partner on one.
Yes, 100%. Keep sending those parks our way. We're definitely looking for more parks to purchase and to acquire. And then once you start doing these flips, you have your own park, and then you're doing flips in your own park. It just takes it to a whole nother ball game. Profit
Yeah,
wise.
and yeah, and then people know I'm doing this, and then some people call me, "Hey, somebody who's got a mobile home here or there. Can you help them with it?" And sometimes I can, and you know, sometimes I can't, or it just doesn't work out. You know, because the cost of moving the home sometimes is cost prohibitive. But
Yes. And
so
then
anyway,
we have partnership opportunities. Even like I said, ourselves, as we mentioned, we lend on deals with members. So we tell all the members, if you come across deals, share them in there. We may be willing to partner on the deal to make sure that we all make money on the deal instead of passing it up because there's money to be
Right.
made in all these deals out here.
right.
Awesome. Awesome, Leslie. Well, I appreciate you for hopping on and sharing all this. It's been awesome watching you grow and continuously building this business. Looking forward to everything that you're going to be accomplishing moving forward. And
Thank you, George.
my pleasure. My pleasure. To everyone else, if you're watching this and you want to learn how to flip mobile homes and build a business just like this, check out the free training that we have linked in the description or linked in the comments down below. I walk you through all of this, the step-by-step process and how this works. And if you're ready to actually do this for real, make sure to schedule a call, which you can do on that link as well. And let's see if you're a good fit to join the Mobile Home Success Academy. Make sure to like, subscribe, and watch our other videos. And if you have any other questions, comment those questions down below. Be happy to add some value and answer those questions for you. I'll catch you guys in the next video.